everybody, welcome to the Mitzvah Party Podcast. We talk about anything and everything that has to do with the parties after the ceremony, the Mitzvah Party. This is episode number 10, recorded on Wednesday, May the 16th, 2018. My name is Clint Huft, and with me is the guy that knows all about this podcast stuff, the one and only Gil Zuniga.
I always wonder how you're going to introduce me because it's different every week. And I'm just sitting here waiting. What's he going to say this time? This one was simple. I like this one. Yeah, that knows everything about the party podcast. I'm like, okay, because this is number 10. I don't know. I know about this one. That's funny. So,
Gil, wait, we need to give the props. Gil knows what he's talking about because he has been in entertainment forever, pretty much his whole life. But he also is the man behind Zuniga Entertainment. That's Z with a zebra, Zuniga, Z-U-N-I-G-A entertainment.com. And Gil, before I hit the record button,
yes,
I thought it would be fun to begin at the end.
Oh.
Yeah, you know how with weddings, there'll be a send-off to the couple, but I don't imagine, and you told me that there probably isn't really like a formal send-off for the bas mitzvah kids, but what happens at the end of the party? What are you paying attention to for that last, let's say, half hour?
How many people are there left? It's normally family, all family, and close friends. People are going to be there to help clean up or, things like that. Sometimes you have a lot of people still left, and sometimes you don't have as many. But the send-off is always pretty much the same. We're always looking for the right song to end the night with. And we have certain songs that we utilize. And sometimes there's a song that the clients may have asked for, and you think that's a perfect song to end with. So we'll do that one at the end. And so you're planning and you're planning it out, that last half hour especially, to if you're doing a friendship circle, which is getting whoever's left at the party in a circle, and you get the bar mitzvah boy or bar mitzvah girl in the middle, and you say, okay, one word to describe Adam, one word to describe Rachel, and you walk around with the microphone, and they say the one word, you go all the way around, and then you're playing music underneath, and then you get everyone to jump in and give a big hug to them, and then the music swells up and gets louder, and then you say, ladies and gentlemen, in the old days, we would say we're not only friends, because we would play like that's what friends are for. And everyone would go in, the song would swell louder, and then you would say, we're not only friends, today or tonight, we're also family, and then you would bam, go into We Are Family. I mean, that was...
Oh, see?
And then they would start dancing for the last song, or the second to the last song, or whatever, or, whatever it may be, if you have, depending on how much more time. But yeah, that was a traditional thing that we would do. And then those songs changed, and what we said would change, but it always had to do something with what you're doing. So production wise, because we look at this a lot of times as a production. An event is a production from start to finish, and it's got to flow, and the end has to have some kind of energy for the end of the party, because the last song, at the very end of the last song, you're looking at the countdown of the song, or back in the Stone Age, you would look at the needle of the record. But you're looking at how many seconds you have left, and then you're walking up to that very end of that song, something to say. So you're walking up, ladies and gentlemen, for the last time at her very own bat mitzvah, please somebody scream for Rachel. Bam, the song ends, and then you hear everyone scream, and boom, and then there's silence.
Oh, that's how you end the night.
And
that's it, with the scream.
Yeah, with the scream.
When you were mentioning those songs, it occurred to me how powerful music is as a time marker. Music that reminds us of middle school or high school or college or whatever it is. And then, so you played those very iconic songs. And I remember that back in the 90s, where there was certain songs that were just really powerful, like That's What Friends Are For, and We Are Family, and all that kind of stuff. But as you moved into the new millennia, and now here we are, 2018, What are the songs that have taken place of those songs? Just anything that comes to mind, the end of the night songs, the friendship circle, and just that emotional impact that you've got or that you want to have.
We started using instrumentals because we didn't want the vocals of the song, even though we would be underlined to the microphone. We play it really low. We started using instrumental things to play while they're in the circle, and then the song to dance them to, normally changed as to more modern music. Obviously, if we're not ending the night because we did it at quarter till and we still have time, we would just at that point get them in the middle, the group hug, like we've always have done for this. And this isn't something we do at all events. This is something we do at certain events. But we used to do it at all events. We would, so we would play a good dance song, something that they requested, or just a really good dance song that we haven't played, or a really good dance song that we may have played early in the evening that would be worth repeating. Like, for instance, I Got a Feeling. When I Got a Feeling came out, that was a song that you would normally play twice.
Well, that was the big song for the entrance, wasn't it?
That was
Tonight's going to be the whatever.
Right. Right. So it was a grand entrance song, and then you would play it later on in the night. If you didn't use it as a grand entrance song, you played it early, and then you could play it again late towards the end of the night, because it was so popular. It was so huge. And I'm telling you, it got so played. But so you could do something like that. So where they're just going to stay on the floor and dance, and you would say something on the microphone to the effect of, we've only have a couple more songs, or you lie to them and you go, this is our last song. And then you play another song and go, okay, so I lied. This is our last song. I remember one time at a party, it was kind of funny. It was a dud. It was a dud. I was the DJ and Marty was the MC. And the party was really bad and no one was dancing. And so he said on the microphone, and I panicked because I didn't know. It was like a half hour left in the party. He said, ladies and gentlemen, we need everybody on the dance floor. Everyone. Come on, everyone. We need everyone for the last song of the night. Come on. The last dance. He didn't say the last song of the night. He said, the last dance. The last dance. Everyone for the last dance. And I'm looking at him, and I looked at my watch, and I'm thinking, what the heck are you talking about? We got a half hour left. What are you nuts? I'm like, did I not? And I'm looking for my schedule, looking, is this party supposed to be over right now? Am I getting off early? What's going on? And he gets everyone on the floor. And these were duddy people. And he gets everyone on the floor, and he does this thing. And then he has me play the song, and they're dancing. And then he walked, and they dance. And by the most part, 90% of them stayed on the floor.
For the last half hour?
For the last song that he said.
Oh, okay.
Right? So he walks over to me, and I looked at him and I said, What are you doing? We have a half hour left. He says, I had to do something. These people just aren't moving. And I just looked at him and went, oh, that's genius. Genius. That is genius. Got it. So then I quick mixed and was quick mixing songs in and kept it going, and no one questioned it. And by the end of the night, we may have had 4 or 5 couples on the floor or whatever. And then he said, now this is the last song of the night. And then it was genius, I thought, because he was right. He was right. They were just a grumpy, just sit in their chair kind of crowd, and they just weren't dancing, and he was just bored. So he would just make up stuff, which obviously I stole that. I used that. So much stuff that you steal from other people that you go, that's great. I'm going to use that. And there's a couple things that you make up, and then people steal from you, and you feel kind of good about it.
Yeah, it's a community of shared, what do they call it? Intellectual property. Yeah, that kind of thing. Exactly. Okay, I want to go back to what you said about the timing of the friendship circle. Like I think you said about, well, there's 15 minutes left in the party, and you time it so that there's the circle, and then you have a couple of songs if you need them, so you don't necessarily end the party with the friendship circle. Or did I misunderstand that?
No, we don't end the night with the friendship circle. We don't. We normally do it 15 minutes prior to the end. So that way we can hit them with 2 or 3 songs there at the end that just, drives the energy up as much as possible for as many people as possible as you have. Sometimes you may have 100 people at the party, or sometimes you may have a dozen and a half left. And I've had those where it's a day party. The only people that are left are like the family. The family, maybe an uncle, maybe an aunt, some cousins, but not very many people. But you still try to end the party the same way, because you want it to be an uplifting ending to an event. And they're like, hey, scream, and you introduce everybody at the end, because at the end, that's what you do. After you say, somebody scream for Rachel, you say, how about a big round of applause for mom? How about a big round of applause for dad, little sister, whoever's on the dance floor? But normally it's the immediate family. So you give everyone their props, and then you give their props to your MC, your DJ, your dancers, whoever may be there working, big round of applause, so that everyone, gets recognized that way.
How you've sent it as a production, and you try to choreograph the end so that there's a specific emotional, I guess, climax, for want of a better word. But what about not the daytime parties, because they have a hard out, because they have to clean everything up and get ready for whatever is the next event coming into that same room. But for the evening parties, have you ever had somebody come up to you after the friendship circle and say, we want another hour? They're willing to pay for an extra hour of overtime. And then do you go through that mental process of like, oh my God, how am I going to end the party now? Because we just ended the party, but the party didn't end.
I can't remember a time where someone's come up after the friendship circle, and not to say that we're 100% on this, but most of the time, half hour prior to the event, and we've already talked about this, like the client,
there's a possibility.
Like there's a possibility of overtime. So then you've got to adjust. But those times where it has happened, where you're caught off guard, then you're like, oh my God, we just ended this party perfectly, and they want to go to, you know what I mean? I think this maybe happened 1 or 2 times where they decide, but normally we check half hour before, because we say that to the client. We'll say, so we'll check with you half hour before, because you'll know by then whether if it's still pumping and you want to do an extra half hour and everyone's still there, then absolutely. But we'll check in with you and we'll do a half hour. We don't have to do an hour, and then we can check with you again.
There's an additional cost too that people,
of course, and they understand that.
No. What I mean is, there's your cost as the entertainment, but there's also the room.
Absolutely,
like that can get pretty pricey. The room has to keep the staff there for an extra half hour, an hour, whatever it is, and that's already been pre-negotiated as well with the contract with the venue.
Absolutely.
But do you take it upon yourself to say, and just to remind you, there's also the additional cost of the room?
Right. The location will come up and say to you, so you're here till 11, right? And then okay, this is a hard out because this guy needs to be out here by 11. They'll say things like that. And I've caught people off guard by saying, we're doing an extra half hour. And then the guy will come over to me and say, what? Wait. No, they're supposed to be done at 11. It's like, okay, you need to go talk to the client, because evidently they didn't talk to you or think to talk to you about this.
Do you ever head that off at the pass?
Yeah, you check
the room captain at the very beginning of the night.
I'm not thinking about that unless I know that they wanted to book the extra half hour, because sometimes clients will say, well, yeah, we'll do 5 hours of the party and after cocktail. And I'll say to them, okay, so what time do you have room till? Or why don't we do this? Now, I am the worst salesperson, because a normal salesperson would just jump on that and go, yeah, sure, pre-book it so we get our money. That's it. But I'm always very conscientious, and like with my clients, and to say to them, why don't we check in with you a half hour before? As long as you have the room until this hour, then we'll just check in with you, because and sometimes it'll be like, oh, absolutely, we're going the extra half hour or the extra hour or whatever. And sometimes it's like, oh God, thank you so much for doing it the way you did. Because I've had parties that completely die an hour before because they booked the extra hour, but they paid for it.
Right.
So the client will walk up and go, oh, well, thank you, thanks, but you guys can go. So we're like packing up and still getting paid. But that's, few and far between, but still it's happened where they prepay for that hour at the end.
Right.
And the party just dies, not because of us, because people, they've been there a long time. They get to the temple at 4:00.
Yeah, it's the emotional toll as well, because they have these ups and downs of what. And I know this because I'm not Jewish, but my wife is Jewish, and our daughter was bat mitzvah in a very, kind of not a temple, but I was taken by surprise as the father about the emotional highs and the waves that went throughout the entire day. So I can only imagine, knowing what it's like to work a party, to what the family has gone through. I tell people with a wedding, oh my gosh, for a bride, from the time she starts doing her hair and makeup to the time she's waving goodbye to everybody, that's like 10, 12 hours. So I can only imagine that the stress on the kid of having to do the ceremony, right, whatever their level of participation is, which is essentially a performance in a different language, and then all the things that come with, being in front of your peers, your 13-year-old peers, and then being the center of attention, and then the highs and valleys of all the components of the mitzvah party. And then at the end, I can see where I can speak for my children would just be dusted. You know what I mean? And then to think that, that extra hour would be, no, that's just not going to happen. But I like what you said, that you have these conversations with the client way ahead of time so that there's a plan B in place just in case. And you're also protecting them so they're not paying for something that they may not need.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like
it's
that.
happened, like I said, it's happened a few times, but they were adamant about it. They were like, no, we want that. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And most of the time it works out because they know their family. That's the thing. I mean, there's certain families I've done 2 or 3, 4 parties for, where I can't wait to do their party. Now,
because they're going to party all night.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because I can't wait to do their party because they are partiers. They just dance. They just will not stop. And the other edge of the sword is I am exhausted at the end of the night. Like, I am sweating. I remember the one family, I did 4 of their children's bar and bat mitzvahs, and I couldn't wait for their parties. But at the end of the night, I was tired. I remember being completely drenched in sweat at the end of a party, because that's you party with them. It's awesome.
Is that the good fatigue? Is that what you know what I mean? Like after an athletic performance where you're exhausted, but it has that kind of high to it?
Oh, absolutely. And then they're sweaty and they're tired and they're putting their feet up, and you're like, ha, I did my job. You know what I mean?
You literally say, ha.
Yeah, exactly. Like a pirate, put my hand, the hand on the hip and the whole thing with the fist on the hip. And it's great. And because the thing about it is, it's like you think, and you're going to hire me for the next one too.
That's true. I mean? That's true. Somebody said to me, I forget who said to me, but somebody that we both know, I think a long time ago, who was very successful, said that he didn't think that his objective for the party, or how did he phrase it? Something along the lines of he's really thinking about that this is an audition in front of all the guests.
Yes.
To get more business. So that added a little juice to whatever he was doing, because he was thinking to the future and all the potential. It reminds me of what Walt Disney said. When he went for one of the first times at the park opened, Disneyland, he was talking to somebody and he says, see all these people? They all have my money in their pocket. This guy kind of had that same approach. See all these people?
It is an audition. It really is. I don't look at it that way. I don't purposely look at it that way. In the moment, my thought is the client. My thought is the guest. My thought is having fun in the moment. And afterwards, we reap the benefits from people walking up to you and saying, I need your business card. I need your business card. We're having a bat mitzvah in October. I need to hire you guys. My son loved you. My daughter loved you. I need your business card. But you don't consciously think of that while you're doing the party, but those are, the benefits of
that's what I call the happy byproduct.
Yeah.
If you focus on doing your job and all that kind of stuff, we have a lot to talk about in the next episode, because I'm curious about the parties where there are celebrities involved. and what the
Yeah.
approach is and the mental mindset. But that's my teaser. We're going to talk about in the next episode.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I don't have to think about what we're going to talk about next week.
No, you don't. All right, everybody.
We got it.
You can reach out to Gil. Gil, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
You can call me 818-980-9099, 818-980-9099, or you can look us up on the web, zunigaentertainment.com, mitzvahpartypodcast.com, on Facebook, Mitzvah Party Podcast. So you can, and we're also on Instagram at Zuniga Entertainment. So you can check us out everywhere. And if we can answer any of your questions, or if you want us to talk about something specific at the next chance we get, we give us topics we would love to hear.
All right, everybody, that's the way this works. This is Clint, and on behalf of Gil, we will see you next time.